Jimmy's got the mic, the crowd goes wild, talking dreams we chased since we were both just a child. Entrepreneurs' heart beats like a
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Elite Real Estate Podcast again. For those of you that are joining us now live, we are live on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, all the places you can find us on social media. Also running live on KGCI Radio every Friday morning, live at 7:30 a.m. Eastern Time. And again, another exciting guest this week, guys. Very excited about it. And I'm going to slow down. So if it's KGCI Radio, Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, Instagram, the Elite Network on YouTube, if you want to find it there, that's where our spot is, and we will be good from there. So without further ado, I'm going to bring my next guest on. And guys, I'm excited. John is going to talk about a whole bunch of stuff today. We are going to blow some minds today with some of the stuff that he's going to dip into. So without further ado, my friend John Jurkovich, my friend, welcome. How are you this morning?
Hey, I'm doing well.
Great.
And pretty exciting to be on here. I didn't know I was going to be on a radio show. I feel like I need to do a radio voice.
You feel like you need to lower the decibels a little bit, right? Like get that bass in your chest a little bit.
Something. I mean, just something. I just can't show up just normal. But
that's right. That's right. We'll get a little Casey Kasem in there. You know, you and I know who that is. Some of the kids that are listening have no idea who Casey Kasem is.
Yeah, every day I realize I keep getting older and older, and the things that I think are funny are less and less funny to more and more people. So,
you know, I find the same. And if I have to explain the joke, it just really loses its luster then.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like my sales get deflated all the time. I do shit that I think I probably shouldn't swear here, but I do things that I think are really, really funny, and other people, it just doesn't resonate, but it's okay for us old timers. It still works.
That's right. That's right. If we get our own enjoyment out of it, that's all we need.
Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. So, well, my friend, listen, I want everybody to understand who John is and where you came from, where you got, how you got to where you're at, and you know where you're going, because you got some exciting things you've been working on too. So we're going to dive into a whole bunch of stuff today, but that's just a few of the things we're going to talk about. So how did you start in the business? You're in the mortgage side, and how did that all start?
Well, I will give you all that. And just to anybody out there that's listening, right now you're at the 2-minute mark and you're deciding whether or not this guy is worth listening to or not. Hopefully I can give you here in the next 2 minutes enough to maybe want to make you stay. And I do have a promise for you here today, is I believe that we all have 1,440 minutes every single day. How we spend those minutes defines where our trajectory goes or where our life does. So I'm not here to take any of yours. And my whole goal and my promise to you when this is all said and done is that you will walk away with 2 or 3 things that either you'll be thinking about slightly different, or you'll be doing maybe different inside of your business to hopefully help you grow and make more money and do those kind of things. Because at the end of the day, as long as we're moving forward, we all feel pretty good about it. So that's kind of just my quick little thing there. But I've been in the mortgage space for 28 years. It started at a small little company called Rock Financial. People didn't know, right? We had a visionary leader that said people would do loans over the internet. People told him he was crazy. And lo and behold, that is now what is Rocket Mortgage. Spent a lot of years there on their executive team, probably hired, hundreds, if not 1,000 plus loan officers there, hundreds of millions of dollars of commission, left there, went into the private equity world, bought and sold whole notes. So bought and sold distressed assets, had over $1 billion in our portfolio. We were back 2009 when 10 agents that, were calling up the banks to get listings, while we were the people that were doling those listings out. So did that, back in the mortgage space now, have launched multiple brokerages, all very successful, have worked at some of the nation's largest retailers. And for the last about 2 years, I run a business where I help mortgage bankers become brokers, but also do a lot of just sales coaching, training. I like to say that I help people get their poop in a group and work with dozens of clients, primarily on the mortgage side, where we're revamping sales processes. We're looking at different things because I have a core belief that every single business out there has a couple of key constraints. And I don't know, and if it's right, I don't know if we can say Gary Keller's name on here, but he wrote a book called The One Thing, right? And everybody, we all have our one thing. If you can identify your one thing, figure out how do I overcome that as quickly as possible, you move a lot faster. And often, we talk about money that we're losing or debts or, I don't want to incur debt. I believe that all of us, our biggest debt is actually the things that we don't know. It's that we don't know how to run Facebook ads. So, because there's an agent out there right now today making, Ryan Serhant, whoever that guy is, he makes hundreds of millions of dollars a year. So that's the potential. So wherever I sit at today is between myself and him. Well, it's a knowledge gap. It's stuff I don't know. He's only better because he knows more than me. So our biggest liabilities often are in between our ears and the things we don't know. So that's it. I'm out there every single day coaching. I've got dozens of mortgage bankers, probably hundreds of mortgage bankers, companies just in the bowels every single day, helping them do more business, and very, very familiar with the space that we all occupy.
Yeah. Yeah. And you bring up a couple of very interesting points. And it's one of the things that you and I have, I feel like we hit it off, and, we both worked at the same company for a long time ago. But that idea of it's just a knowledge gap, right? It's just somebody knows more than something about some specific thing. And I feel like that's one of the things that drives people like you to, if you can learn it and then give it away, right? Like if I can learn something and then teach other people, it just makes our industry better, right? And it just makes, if we can ramp up like how we close loans easier and how we sell real estate easier, it makes it all easier for all of us.
Yeah, and I think that our industry as a whole, and the mortgage side is now actually kind of catching up with where real estate's been, in that for a long time, real estate agents had their own personal brand, and they did that, and they were building a brand independent of wherever they kind of hung their hat. And we're seeing that now in the mortgage side as well, in that, more and more loan officers are now creating and building personal brands. But back to the knowledge gap, it's wherever you sit at today, there are just little incremental things that you need to get. And there's so much crap out there. And I'm sure that you see it on your side of people that are going to 10X your business.
Yep.
And I think most of them are not going to 10X your business. How can I 10X your business if I don't even know what you're doing to begin with? So I think inside of our industry, we've got just a lot of people that are kind of full of crap in the coaching space and just all over, right? Even in the recruiting side. Oh, come switch, go from this brokerage to this one, and you're going to do 10X more business. Well, I don't know that that's true. And I think that more and more people just want certainty. I want to know, I'm pretty sure everybody on this phone would give me $100,000 if I could be certain that they'd earn $1 million over the next 18 months. Right? That's an easy trade, right?
Yeah.
I'd find a way. I'd borrow it from mom. I don't care. But the certainty is not there that I'm going to get the thing. So I think that we as coaches and just people, right, you running this podcast, our job really needs to be to convey certainty that if you do A, B, and C, you're going to get D, E, and F. And the greater the level of that certainty, the more likelihood somebody is going to be to buy. And the same thing is when you're going on a listing appointment. How certain is that client in you as a person, your ability to deliver the result that they want, the product that you're bringing them, like, and you have a product as a listing agent, you're selling a product. It's how good is your tour? What's your marketing thing? How good is your product? And then how good is the company that you work for? And people will buy on those three reasons. PPC is what I call it. It's the person, the product, and the company. And so again, create certainty and clients will fall in your lap.
Yeah. And I mean, it's so spot on with what we talk about all the time. Right. And like you said, like there's so much stuff we get in this minutia, and real estate agents. And I feel like you said, like brokers now too, mortgage brokers too. We've kind of fallen into that trap of like, here's this new product, try this, right? And we want to see this new coach and this new idea and this new script and this new thing, and we get caught up trying to do too many of the things instead of just doing the basics. Instead of just doing what should I be doing every day to build my business, and then the new flashy thing comes and we're like, we're going to do that now, right?
Yeah, I think that sales and just what we do is something that you can study going way back in time. One of the greatest salespeople that ever existed, he started as a poor fisherman and recruited 12 men. And, his day's coming up, right? We got Easter coming up, but sales and what we've been doing has been around like since Jesus, and I say that being funny, but you can go even, back and look at the Bible. Like there's the art of persuasion. People wanted a certain amount of certainty, right? Since Like if I pick up a Bible, the certainty there is that I'm trying to get to heaven. And so everything that we've been doing for our entire existence is just creating that certainty and knowing that you have a plan. And if I do A, B, and C, I get D, E, and F. And it's, I don't know, I think it's fun. It's definitely exciting. And watching all the changes and the stuff that's going on out there, there's so much uncertainty. So if you can provide any of that in the market today, it is really helpful and people need it, I think.
Yeah. Oh, they do. And I feel that that's why people move companies. That's why people move brokerages, move teams, whatever it is. Because you're right. They're looking for that person that's going to, and then that's where the sales comes in too, right? It's me as a team leader. You as a team leader, like I can draw you in, and I can say that I'm going to give you all these things, and then you're going to, but at the end of the day, this is where people get caught up. You still have to do A, B, and C, right? Like that never changes. And that's where I think that, real estate agents get caught up is they forget they have to do A, B, and C, right? That all comes right back to the same thing. You have to do the basics, no matter what brokerage, no matter what team you're with, you still have to do the basics. And if you don't, you're going to move to another brokerage and start all over again. And it still doesn't matter because if you don't do the basics, it's never going to work anyway.
Yeah. And it's like anything. If you have to put in a certain amount of effort, and it's the non-sexy things often that separate one person from the next. And in today's world, I've got a diagram here of and this is just something from a presentation I did. It's the life cycle of a butterfly, and it doesn't go from an egg to a butterfly. It has to go through the worm phase, and it has to do the worm phase, and it has to go and eat the leaf phase. Then it has to go into that like cocoon phase. It doesn't just go one to the end. And too many, I mean, myself included, I'm always looking for a shortcut, right? If there was a way to go to the gym without going, I'd do it. But at the end of the day, most of those things, you have to go through the particular phases to get from being an egg to a butterfly. And the same with your clients. We all want the person, that's a tire kicker. I'm not messing with them. That's those Zillow leads that I buy. They suck. All the people are looking in 6 months. Well, they also have to go through the phase of being an egg, and you can decide where you want to pick them up. I can tell you this, though. I can go and buy a lot of butterfly eggs very cheap. A butterfly that's ready to fly is super expensive and hard to get. So depending on where you try and pick up your clients in their life cycle, the more expensive and the harder it is to get. And I think that we've just had some massive changes happening in our industry that I think are going to make it a little bit harder to find butterflies if you weren't in the business of searching for eggs or, worms or caterpillars or any of that stuff.
Oh man, I love that analogy so much. Now you've given me another analogy. These things get stuck in my brain and then they'll come out they'll come out later. So I'll give you credit for that when it comes back out of my mouth.
Yeah, no, it's the life cycle of a butterfly. I like to tell stories, and I do. So we have some different products, and we can talk about the things that I do for mortgage bankers to help them. But we have some different kind of like tech products that help people get mortgage bankers attract real estate agents, right? A big chunk of what we're trying to do as a mortgage banker and how I'm trying to coach my people, you're super important in our business, right?
Yeah.
Because you're part of that thing. Like, yeah, I'd love to. If every mortgage banker could figure out a way to get to the buyer before you ever do, right? Then they hold the keys. That's where we want to be in the mortgage world. We don't want to have to deal with you. However, we understand that, and you probably don't want to deal with us either, right? If everybody just came as a cash buyer, your world would be better off also.
Right.
But it's not how it works. So I do a lot of webinars where I have an individual, mortgage broker inside of an area. We invite a bunch of agents to come and look at hey, here's a different way of selling stuff. And the life cycle of the butterfly is something that I use inside of that presentation. And just because everybody can relate to it and they can kind of see, yeah, you know what? I am just chasing butterflies. Maybe I should go and look for some caterpillars, but we do pretty good on those presentations. If we get 20 agents there, we end up with about 50% of them opting to sign up to share an app or to get a shared calculator, to have some kind of tech something or some kind of tool that they can use for their clients, maybe that are looking 6 months out, 12 months out, 18 months out. So it's having the tools there. is something that's super important as well.
Well, you bring up a very valid point too. Like it's the tools, right? And people get freaked out by new technology. And you and I have talked about this. You and I are in the same age bracket, and we've talked about this. We talked about this a long time ago. Was like technology and how you and I have we had to adapt to technology because if you don't adapt to it, it just passes you by.
For
So
sure.
you have to learn it. And so what are some of those tools that you're providing now for realtors and for mortgage professionals, like to keep their business and to get those butterfly eggs?
Yeah, let me kind of just back up
Yeah.
and take a step back. So something that we've seen just happen, and the attention today, what we're buying and we're paying for is more just eyeballs. And so I want to just look at like what, I think what Zillow's doing is fantastic. I think what Rocket is doing right now is fantastic. And what you're seeing there is, so I'll use Rocket as an example. They went out years ago and bought Truebill and it converted it to Rocket Money. And they're running a lot of ads. They ran Super Bowl ads. They're
Yeah.
trying to get kids out of college to now link your accounts and to become Rocket is not trying to sell you there. That's not lead gen. That's not lower my bills. Rocket Money is lead gen. They're just getting you first time home buyer now is 38 years old. They're going to have 14 years of you interacting with them before they ever ask you to buy something. The trust factor is going to be sky high. So if you look at that ecosystem, they're going pre-larvae. They're going, right? If I'm doing that caterpillar analogy, they're getting in there before you're even, you're going to live in a house someday, but they're getting you before you're even a renter. And so they begin that life cycle there. And then they walk it all the way through and you get your credit. Then they start pinging you that maybe you can, and then they've got a place for you to go and look at homes. And that's where Zillow does it, right? Zillow does a great job. People don't like, I can say I Google something. I could almost say that I Zillow to look at homes. It's almost like Tylenol is a form of acetaminophen, but people use the brand name. Zillow is where people go to search for homes.
Yeah.
And I don't understand the exact Zillow thing, but I'm pretty sure that more and more agents are being converted to a Zillow Flex agent, and they're asking for a third of your commission. So you could let them look at a house. Like, think about that. Like, here, look at my phone. Give me 1/3 of what Apple's going to pay me. But that's right. They're getting in there, and us, the little guys, maybe can't compete, or if we can compete, we're still always going up against them. So some of the tools that we have for people is that I think that anytime I can protect my own client and kind of put a moat around my business, however that might be, and prevent them maybe from going and doing some home search stuff at Zillow. If I can keep them on my website searching for homes, then going to Zillow, there's a greater chance that I ultimately convert them. And so we've got some different tools. We've got a whole suite of calculators where we do them. You've got a loan officer and an agent. We co-brand the calculators. The client can go in there, look at different things on a calculator, can put in their scenarios, hit email, and we'll email them the scenario so they can remember it. They can go through and do some lead intake stuff there. So we've got a whole suite of calculators that we co-brand with agents. If you wanted to put a calculator on your site, we just give you an embed code. You can drop it in there. Or more useful, you have clients all the time that are like, well, what's the payment on a $300,000 house? And
Right.
if you ever get that question, agents, and you don't have a good place to send them, here's what they do. They Google it.
Yep.
And if they end up at Bankrate, or they end up at mortgagecalculator.org, and inside of there, if you go there, so Google it in your area, go there and see who shows up as the lenders at the bottom. If you don't have a one-on-one relationship with them, guess what's going to happen? Client's going to be in there. They now end up talking to that lender. That lender doesn't want to do business. They don't want you as the agent. They want to send it to their agent that they work with, that they golf with, that they share a Zillow lead spend with. And so if you allow your client to go to any calculator other than one you're directing them to, it's like sending your daughter to the frat house. It might turn out okay. Like, there's a lot of, right? My son's in a frat,
Yeah.
but I've got a daughter. I wouldn't send her there. So it's okay. You don't have to. You can continue to do it. But that's kind of the premise in the calculator. You want to have a place, come and do it. Or you can just put a calculator on your phone and just tell them the payment every time. It's kind of a little bit tedious, but if your lender, and so like that calculator thing for agents, the lenders like that we work with, we take care of the expense. Your banker pays for it. We just give it to you for free. And then we manage the leads, we do the things, and hopefully it would bring it back. So that's one just super simple thing. And mortgage calculators, they're not all the same, but these are really cool. And they've got calculators for things like DSCR. It's got a breakdown of like a net sheet inside of there where they could look at, oh, what about would my house net? And these are, again, they're for the client that's not ready to go on a listing appointment. They're not ready to have you come to their house and bring them a competitive market analysis. That's the butterfly, right? This is an egg that's looking at how much could I get for $3,000 a month?
Yeah.
So we just have to change where are we getting our clients from and stop looking at the activities that we're doing today for a closing in, second quarter of 2025. Start looking at, I need to put 25% of my activities in today for my 2026 closings. And, so this just looking out further. So there's a calculator. I probably talked about that, bored people to death, but there's a really cool calculator. You know what? If you want to eat, pray, sell real estate, if you want to, you can go to, I actually just moved a website where you can go and look. I put a little video in there of what the calculator looks like. And it's going to be just, you can go there, but it's CEO1440.com will take you to the website where you can get a look and feel of what this calculator looks like. And I put it in there. I put a video, I put a little question mark of where your head is. And so I tried to do a little bit of prep here before this. So CEO1440.com, you can go and see a sample of the calculator. And if you want this, and even if you've got an agent that like a broker you really like working with, I'm not here trying to like get your loans from you. I'm more than happy to turn your loan officer onto how these tools work, how it can help you and them do more business. And at the end of the day, like the return on investment on what I do is through the roof. People that work with me, the only guarantee that I ever make to people is I can't guarantee what you're going to make in the future, but I can make this guarantee. We started working together 12 months ago. You wouldn't be doing less business. You'd probably be doing significantly more. And the bulk of like mortgage brokers that I launch, and believe it or not, a lot of them are actually real estate agents that wanted to also open a mortgage shop. And they're just like, I don't have time to learn it all. Like, just tell me what I need to do, and we'll go ahead and we'll do that inside of our brokerage as well.
They want the fast track.
Well, yeah, but you can, right? If you think about that person, right? So let's say they invest, let's say they invest $15,000 to get their company up and running, and they do 10 loans at $4,000 a pop, right? They made 40 and they invested, right? It's like,
right.
It makes no sense to like sit around and figure out how to rebuild something. So those are the calculators. It's super cool. And inside of there, there's a little place. If you want to get with me, there's like, I did a little explainer. And then the other thing we do, there's a company out there called FinLocker. And what FinLocker does right now, FinLocker probably has, 40 or 50 mortgage companies that do their own app. You can kind of think of it as being like Rocket Money combined with, there's a real estate search feature in there where people can go and search for properties. I like to think of it as a complete financial fitness app to purchase a home. And inside of there, a client can go in, pull their credit. They can run what if scenarios. They can just do a lot of stuff to get ready and prepared to purchase a home. For people that I work with, we provide the loan officer that app, and they give it to their agent partners. It's, again, free to the agent partner. The loan officer is incurring the cost. And the clients then, it's not for your client that wants to look at a house this weekend. It's for the person 6-12 months down that you don't have a spot for today. You put them in there. It nurtures them along. They constantly are getting stuff. And it does become a closing 6 months down the road, 12 months down the road, 18 months down the road. And it wasn't something you had to manage in your CRM. Like, I love all the emails I get, and I appreciate everybody that sent me a pumpkin spice latte email the second week of November. But I'm not buying a house from you because of that, right? Like, it's almost like I see some of those things and I cringe because it actually probably makes me a little less likely to do business with you if it's a really crappy, just standardized thing.
The presentation, right?
Well, presentation, just, there's a million things that I can do. In today's world, I can segment out my pipeline. I can segment it out from particular areas. I can do so many things inside of my CRM to just do better marketing. I don't want to work with somebody that, if you can't figure out those basic things. Like I look at things like email signatures. If I look at somebody's email signature and it's terrible, well, if they can't figure that out, like
Right.
how are they going to figure out, like, can I trust them to have even read my contract?
Right.
Right. If they can't. So again, these tech things, you don't have to do it. There's nothing, I don't care if you do it, but just if you don't want to do it and you don't want to embrace kind of where things are moving, my only ask of anybody is just don't complain in 2 or 3 years when your business has become more or less irrelevant and you're doing less and less of it. Now is the time to do it today. Otherwise you are going to end up complaining down the road because things are moving so fast.
Yeah.
So those are kind of 2 big, really critical things, right? One, the calculator, and the other one, the FinLocker app. We call ours the Fin Toolbox. We've got it co-branded, but like Mortgage has one. A lot of the mortgage companies have this app, and it's directly to compete with what Rocket's doing, providing your clients someplace to go. And agents love it. Are they putting every client in there? No, but I like to say this: if you give 2 clients into that per week, it's 2 tire kickers, 2 people you talk to over the course of a year, you'd put 100 clients in there. Let's just say that 5% of those end up doing something, right? 5% of 100 is what? It's 5 closings. So that's very few. Let's say you make, I don't know, $5,000 a closing, 10 grand a closing. If it's 10 grand a closing, that 5 closings, it's $50,000. That's business you would not have gotten. That's another referral. That's a listing. And a client for an agent often is a lot more. That it's not one transaction. You get the listing, you get their mom and dad, you get a lot of other things. So it's providing you a place to put your clients that are 6 months out, 12 months out, 18 months out, and it's pretty turnkey for you. So it works well. The bankers that are really embracing it are seeing a lot of success. And it's not for everybody, but it's for the ones that want to grow their business.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, it goes back to it's net toolbox. It's a tool to be used. And I one of the things you brought up too, and I say this all the time. It's not necessarily the client that's going to say yes today. It's the client that's going to say yes eventually. Right. And if I can just put them in my CRM, if I can stay in front of them, provide them some value throughout this process, then in 6 months they are going to buy. But if I have enough people that are going to buy in 6 months, that means every month I'm going to have somebody buying or selling something. Right. And then, like to your point, if I take care of them and I take care of them at a high level and then I should get 5 more deals out of that. Right. Like if I get one family member and I buy or sell their house for them, I should get 5 more deals out of that if I take care of them at a high level. And then it leads to more business down the line after that.
Well, if you think about this, when somebody's eyeballs land on, if you're a real estate agent, whatever, when a consumer's eyeballs hit your stuff and the likelihood of them buying a house, it's not really if they buy a house, it's more when. Like I'm looking at a map right here, right? We're in Michigan. 74% of people own homes. So if you were to go right now today, every kid graduating from high school, 7 out of 10 of those are going to buy a house. The real question isn't if, it's when and with who. And you have an opportunity at some point, if you do your job right, they will buy it with you. Same reason McDonald's is all over the place. There's a really good likelihood most people end up eating a McDonald's someplace because they're there when that person's ready. And so I can go state by state and look at, home ownership rates. If I'm in Illinois, 73%, Indiana, only 67% in Indiana, 66 in Ohio. But so every interaction you have with a 10-year-old, just know 6 of those 7 of the 10 are going to end up buying a house. How do you be the person that they think of when they are actually ready? And so you just have to start looking at it really long term. One of my biggest regrets would be, back in the late 90s of not databasing every single person that I ever spoke with. I would have hundreds of thousands of people inside of a database that have been following me, for years, that I could now go like, a company doing billions of dollars would be way more than that. You just didn't do it. It's just we neglected it and just dropped the ball.
Yeah.
But
and it's I talk to agents all the time that we talk about, like, are you updating your CRM? Are you doing CRM maintenance? Are you making sure that, like, the birthdays are right? If is the address right? Is the all these dates correct? Are you updating your CRM so you're staying relevant and staying in front of these clients? Because if you're not, guess who is? Somebody else is, right? Like, and like you said, they can go to Zillow. They can just, and everybody does it, right? I have clients that I work with, and they're like, oh, and they'll send me something from Zillow, and I'm like, oh my, stop looking at Zillow, right? Like, but that's where they go. That's just where they're conditioned almost to that because of all the advertising.
Well, that, and it's the easiest place to go. It unless you give them a better mechanism, like the home search feature in our app, but they use something called Home Genius, which is like a company on the back end and inside of the page, there's nothing there. There's no ads, there's no Zestimates, right. It's just all of the NMLS data. They can favorite it. And then they just get everything, every listing, price reduction. They can create their own thing independent of you as an agent. They're creating their own hot list. The neat thing is every time a client that's signed up, if they look at a new house, you get a ping like, hey, agent Sally was just looking at a house, over here for 450 grand. So you're knowing she's out there looking, or he is looking at a house, but they don't have to reach out to you. It feels a little more intimate on their end. They're doing these things, on the back end. And Zillow knows every house you look at. They combine it with the Google data of like what you're, hey, you were at Bath & Beyond. You've done these 19 things. They know what you're going to buy next before you do.
Yeah.
So it's really cool. And there's some other AI features in there where you can drop. I just saw something yesterday where I think it's Edelman, or I don't know the name of it. I think it's where Ryan Serhant works. They just did a whole big thing where you're just going to drop in like a picture board and it will go and find houses for you.
Interesting.
So, and inside of our app, which is really neat, you can search by, it'll run a pre-qualification. Let's say you qualified for a $500,000 house. You put in zip codes and it will only give you houses 550 and below. So it's not you don't have to even curate, like I throw out the $1 million houses. It will actually give you houses that you qualify for. And then if you like and favorite a house, and let's say the taxes are more, it updates your payment of what a potential payment would be in the app based on the taxes of the houses that you're actually looking at.
No kidding.
So yeah, so it's trying to get smarter. And there's something, again, I didn't build this, right? I white label it and make suggestions. And they also have a thing in there where you can drop pictures in. Like let's say you want a kidney shaped pool, or you want deer horns, right? I want a house that lived, I want a guy that was a hunter in there before. He's going to have good taste. I'm a hunter. I have good taste. So you drop in a picture of a deer horn, and what will happen is it will scrub the zip code or wherever you're looking for any photos. And then all the listings that appear are ones that have deer horns in them. So I'm now searching based on things like upload a pole barn. If you want a house with a pole barn, you don't have to scroll through 47 crappy photos anymore and an aerial, drone thing to see if you just put in a pole barn and it's going to search all the listings in your area, and it's only going to give you the ones with pole barns. So, and that's something, right? If I think about that, that's something that an agent can have today for free, and they can send their clients there, and the banker's paying for it. And it provides just a different option for that client that's a little further out. So there's cool things. It's moving so fast. I have no idea where we'll be in 6 months. Like you might just think and have listings appear on a hologram on your wall or something, come out of your eye.
Who knows, right? Like a little digital thing across our forehead that's going to come out at some point. But technology is moving so fast, and AI has sped everything up because now the AI is working in the background when everybody else is sleeping. It just works, right? So that's changing everything. But and that you're so true, because now and then we've become conditioned as human beings that we want everything at the push of a button, right? Want mortgage, push button, right? Like it's a commercial.
Yep. It worked well. They did okay. I think they're
doing all right. And so, but that's what everybody wants, right? It was a $5 pizza. You just push a button, get a $5 pizza. We want everything right now. And if you're not providing that, like, because there are companies that are, there are Zillow that does provide this, homes.com, realtor.com. Well, you can go down the list of who's providing this for these clients. And again, if you're not providing it, somebody is. And those clients will go to that realtor or that mortgage broker because they're providing it and you're not.
Well, we're not. We're all in the same business.
Yes.
You're not in the real estate business. You're in the problem solving business, right? People have a problem. And hopefully, if you do your job well, you can solve that problem. Maybe the problem is housing. Maybe, right? That's the real estate is helping solve a housing problem. For some people, it's a contract related problem, right? They need somebody to facilitate the paperwork and to do those kind of things. For a long time, the problem was getting your property on the NMLS.
Yep.
Right? Was getting eyeballs onto your property, and just being able to have a way to put it there facilitated that. You solved the problem of landing it there. And right then it got in front of enough people. People saw that it was for sale. They didn't have to drive by your house on their buggy, and it solved the problem. So we're really in the problem solving business, and the more creative solutions that you have as an agent to solve those problems, the better off you are. And that's where I think, like, as agents, spending just a little bit of time on things like bridge loans, iBuyer type programs, just different little programs out there that when you go on the listing appointments and you go and you sit down and you talk with somebody, you've got a couple more solutions. And again, if I walk all the way back to how certain am I, Jimmy's the guy, he's the person, the company, and the company he works for and the products he brings are going to solve my problem of selling the house. And so the more stuff you have in your own tool belt, the better off you'd be. And I think that a place that a lot of agents I talk with, and like I said, I do a lot of presentations for agents. I have whole offices. I have offices of agents that I actually do sales coaching with on how do I more effectively call on my Zillow leads and do those kind of things. So I do have some real estate clients. It's not like something that I do. It's just people I know. I guess I do it then, but I digress. Is understanding those products. So I think that bridge loans are something that people don't understand. And a lot of people aren't listing today because they don't think they can, or they have crappy terms. There are a lot of different bridge solutions where somebody today, they can do cross collateralization, add up the value of both the new house and the old house, divide by 75%, they can get cash. I've had clients that have gotten cash in a bridge loan, bought their new house cash, were left with $30,000 on the other one to go in, declutter, paint a couple rooms and stage it to then sell it for way more money. And they did this inside of 2 weeks. And everybody else, no, they can't qualify. They can't carry 2 house payments. It'll never work. You got to wait until you sell. And then what happens? Oh, I'm not going to sell now. I'm going to wait for interest rates to get better. And you guys end up in the circular waiting game when there was a legitimate solution there that worked. Or I need to wait to file my taxes so I can qualify for a loan. You don't have to do that. Maybe you do, but I don't know that it's necessary. There's some iBuyer programs out there that are really cool where somebody can go in and flip their own house. So they'll buy it today, 60 to 80 cents on the dollar. And then they'll set aside a rental budget. They buy the house, set aside a rental budget. You as the agent help that company do the little cosmetic things that need to be done. And then you go back and you relist it at the after renovated value, and you pull your commission at that price point, instead of the cash sale that you were doing to some local investor because they needed to get out of it. And mom had lived there and hadn't touched it since 1978. Like, that's a solution. Do you show up at your listing appointments with cash offers on, 50% of them? Because you can. So, I mean, there's a lot of things out there that can be done. And if your mortgage broker doesn't know about those, or they don't understand the products, I'm not saying find another one. Maybe you learn together, or maybe you just find another one. But there are so many products out there that people are just clueless about.
Yeah. Yeah. And I it's important, right? Because here's one of the things that I always coach with agents too is what value are you providing outside of opening the lockbox and putting a sign in the front yard? Like, what is the value that you're providing? And if I can provide a solution to an issue, right? Like you said, this iBuyer program that potentially we could do. If I knew that walking into this listing appointment that we're going to have to sell grandma's house for dirt cheap because grandma never updated her house, But if I actually had a solution to that where we could do just exactly what you said, think of how much better an agent I would be, right? Like how much more would people want to refer me more business? How much more would people want to be interested in working with me because now I provided a solution on top of just this regular, like, yep, I'll put a sign in the front yard, sell the house, right? I can move that quickly, but same point, if I could put more money in your pocket, because that's technically where we forget about is we're actually the fiduciary, right? Like we forget that as real estate agents, our fiduciary responsibility to our clients. That goes out the window sometimes pretty quick when we start talking about commission. But to your point, if I'm an agent and I think about what you just said, if I could sell this house for more money, guess what? I'm going to make more money. It works out for all of us, right? Because I'm going to make my client more money. I'm going to make more money, and then they're going to be happier and provide me more reels and more leads and referrals.
Yeah, and you start to tell a lot better story.
Yeah.
All right. The stories that you tell are better than that. And this is a company that I do some work with. I help them with some marketing and stuff. And they go through, and like I said, they allow people to flip their own homes. One of the biggest places that agents go in and do really well, when mom gets sent over to the nursing home, right? Dad had passed away a few years ago. Mom's been living alone. She's now got to go to the nursing home. Family's left with this house on the back end. A lot of families don't have the wherewithal to just start picking up all the bills. Nursing homes are expensive, so they're stuck with this house. And their options are, okay, we can get mom moved in there. If they are able to, they can declutter it. They can kind of clean it up. They can get it ready to list. Maybe the family's got to put 25 to 50 grand into it to really kind of get maximized top dollar. Well, for most people, believe it or not, right, like that doesn't exist.
Right.
The stock market drop for 50% of the world or 50% of the US, the stock market dropping, like we hear about it in the news, it doesn't impact them at all.
Right.
The bottom 50% of the US people own less than 1% of the stock market. They're not sitting on a bunch of cash. And I think I saw some stat that like 90% of the equity in the stock market is owned by 10% of the people.
Probably.
Let me tell you, they're not using any of us. Well, they may be to list the house. They're not using us for a loan. Right? Kim Kardashian doesn't reach out to her local mortgage broker to buy a house. She just writes a check.
Yeah.
And that's right. That's the upper 10%. It's completely devoid of what most of us do. And you guys are lucky because you get to actually work with those clients and you don't have like jumbos and that kind of stuff. But
right.
And they go in and they have a solution there and they work directly with the onboarding person there. So what are you doing? Oh, we don't know if we can afford it. We got to get rid of mom's house. And they're like, well, we have a solution. And they come in and they refer it over. The agent has this program and they say, here's what we can do. We can get you, they put it into a little place. We can get you 75 cents, on the dollar today. Your house is worth 500,000. We'll get you 375 grand or four. I guess it'd be 400 grand. Oh, for something. I'm a mortgage guy. I don't do math. But we get you 400 grand today. We're going to hold back 50,000 of that. We're going to go in, we're going to declutter it. We're going to paint, we're going to touch up the bathroom. And based on what I think, we'll actually be able to relist it for 625 instead of the 450 you could get today from a hard money investor that's going to come in because they need to make the money too. And the family says, you mean, so I can walk away with the check here in the next 2 weeks? Yeah, just title and appraisal. We'll get you a check. Then we'll work together to get it cleaned up. You guys do your stuff. And hopefully we sell it inside of 90 days. Does that sound fair? And they're converting these things left and right because it's a solution nobody else is coming up with. Every other agent's walking in with their CMA and the other 3 houses that they did and pictures of their, them dancing on TikTok. Here's my TikTok where I dance. I'm the coffee mortgage queen, and it's like, well, you're not going to solve my problem. I don't drink coffee.
Right.
So it's setting yourself apart with something unique. And it doesn't, right? Most areas have a handful of nursing homes. The boomers keep getting older. I don't think that there's any reason that you can't find, if you have this program, you can't find one closing a month, 12 more closings in 2026, if you made it a priority today to start focusing on it. And I don't know if it impacts your people. 10 closings, let's say it's 10 more closings at 10 grand. If making an extra 100 grand in 2026 matters, the question now is, here's where you sit today. Here's your knowledge base. Some of the things I said, probably you don't understand as well as I do. How do I get my knowledge base from where I'm sitting to here to where I can capitalize and I can extract that 100 grand plus out of the market? And it's all across. Small town USA has nursing homes. They have people that need that. and you're just not the one offering it. So little tangent there, but that is a super cool program. And if somebody does want, like, I work for them. I help that company do marketing stuff, but it's super cool. So
Yeah.
CEO1440, that's my email. Also, it's John at CEO1440. And like I said, I like to talk to people.
Yeah. Yeah. No. And again, like you're providing value, right? Sandy just wrote into, love this. I am an SRES. Need more info on this. So that's a senior real estate specialist. So Sandy took some courses to become certified with the senior for seniors, right? So helping people transition from that, what exactly what we were talking about, right? So that person that's going from home to nursing home, and how do I help them do this? And I feel like that's exactly what this product you were talking about is, right?
Now, if we go back to, your job is not to sell houses. Your job is to solve people's problems. The problem, for that senior person, the problem is, mom, like, we're all going to die, right? That's a problem that we all encourage. So how do I make that as best as possible? And when you start solving the problems, you start identifying a niche. And I think, right, and I work with mortgage brokers that struggle to make, just $1,000 a month. And I talk to people that they're making $100,000 a month, same market, same everything. They've just done a better job of fulfilling a niche. And there are niches all over the place. The cookie cutter deals, okay, that is a little bit of a commodity, especially on the mortgage side. But if I get into some nuance where I now actually get to highlight the things that I can do, well, then I'm highlighting the things that I can do, and I can win there. I'm not like anybody that's listening here. If you need a marketing person, like there's marketing people that are way better than me. Don't hire me to do marketing.
Right.
That's not my niche.
Right. It's not mine either, but I know people that do it, right? I can put you in contact with people. I'm a people connector.
Yeah, and I understand marketing, right? I'm like also old enough. I'm closer to 100 than I am to 0. So us old dudes, like, and I pick on myself about this. I will spend an inordinate amount of time learning things because I hate to not understand it. But I still pay somebody to do it. But I'm like on the back end, like reading tons of marketing books, like trying to figure out, well, why are they doing that with my Facebook ads, or why are they running that? Because I used to have this belief that leads were a problem. Leads aren't a problem. Nobody has a shortage of leads. There's literally millions of leads. The problem that we have is, how do I convert them profitably? Like everybody out there, I can get you 100,000 leads in the next 30 days. Easily.
Yeah, easy.
You just need to have big checkbook to buy them all. But the question is, how am I going to convert all of those? Another just kind of thing for your group here is I'm thinking about who you guys have. A little pro tip for you, like tax days coming up. I know I got to meet with my CPA, but start doing this on every one of your closings. When your clients close, keep a copy of the settlement statement from closing. And every year, and then go in January, take that list back out, handwrite thank you for doing business with me on it, circle the per diem interest that they paid, like those things that are tax deductible, and mail it to them with a $5 Starbucks gift card. You would be shocked at how well that works, because they all need it, right? What's their servicer going to do? They're going to send them an email. How many people have a printer? You got to call somebody to print the thing out, to take it to your CPA. Just be the hero there. And it's a great follow-up. It's your January touch point with all of your clients from the prior year, and their mortgage person's not going to do it, right? And now if Rocket owns Mr. Cooper, right? Rocket's going to do it. Guess where they're going to send it? They're going to send it to a Rocket real estate agent. They're not sending it back to you if they got questions. So do that thing. Save all of your settlement statements, handwritten on there, personalize it. Thank you for doing business with me. Your CPA will probably need this. And I know tax season sucks, so here's a $5 Starbucks gift card. You will get referrals. You would be closing loans right now, or possibly selling houses if you had done that. So little pro tip there.
That's a huge pro tip. That's a huge. I'm writing these down.
And if you keep the settlement statements throughout the year, like just as you have closings, just set them aside. make an extra copy, and then you don't even have to print it. You don't have to go in and do anything. They're just sitting there. And, between Christmas and New Year's, you write, hey, thank you for doing business with me. And you mail that to them. Your CPA is going to need this. Drop in 2 business cards, one for them, one for the CPA. You never know, but it's costs $0 and it will bring a lot of goodwill.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, it's not a heavy lift. It's just doing the thing, right? It's not, you're not asking me to reinvent the wheel here. Like, you're just telling me to take the wheel that I already have and send it back to them. I already have the information. I don't have to even go look for it. Like you said, if I just put it away, put it in a spot every time, now I can just go back, pull them all out, send them out. Man. And again, I think about this from, again, because how many times, it's always like, how many touch points can I get? What can I do? How can I get back in front of them, right? We talk about, like, November, we do, is it a pumpkin pie or is it apple pie? And, realtors are buying pies for everybody, which is, it's great. It's a great thing. It works. It's puts you in front of them. But then how do I do it in January when now you just gave us another one of how you do that in January?
I mean, anything that you can do to separate yourself, and people are looking all over the place. We're constantly, intentionally or unintentionally, everything we're doing is building a brand.
Yes.
And is your brand one that's easy to work with, better to work with? Does it return phone calls fast? Does it add value? Is the newsletter actually something that I enjoy? Are they funny? Do I like them on social media? Because you got to be on social media too. I don't care if you do it or you don't, but if you don't, they're like, Instagram is a CRM.
Yes.
People don't think about it, but your Instagram is a CRM. It's a client relationship management tool. They get to see and hear about the things you're doing. So constantly do that. And then one other just like pro tip here. I know I have time, but another thing that I am seeing people get a much better result from, we love to post the picture of the keys at closing. Like, oh, here's my key, just sold, kind of thing. Or take that post and change. I think the picture is still fine, but walk people through the story of how you got there. The Super Bowl is exciting to watch because of the plays that happen throughout, not necessarily the final score.
Yeah.
So and again, I do this coaching with bankers, but we just had a person that these people had made 31 offers on different houses, went through a job change, had a baby. Like the history from the first time that mortgage banker spoke with them until closing was 31 offers. They had a baby. There was a job change. Like, there was a lot of stuff that happened in their life. If you show the picture of worked with them for 9 months, got the house sold, like, that doesn't tell it. But when you say, like, hey, we began working with them, I sent them to my lender, they got pre-approved, we thought we were good to go, we made our first offer, hopes were high, hopes were crushed. 31 offers later, right? We had a baby in there. Here we sit today with smiles on our face. You have no idea how many, tears, and that story resonates so much better than the other one. And then maybe even you follow back up in 2 weeks when they're in, actually drive to their house. You want good social media, drive to their house, do a quick little reel like, hey, we're here. They're moved in. They still don't have anything in the bathroom, right? You do that. And don't pay the photographer to go and fly around on a drone thing. Go and just show up and do that there. People care about that. Every listing looks the exact same, to the point South Park's making fun of them. You guys see the stuff South Park does?
It's fantastic.
It's the truth.
You know how much stuff I get sent to me every day about South Park and real estate agents like that?
The funny thing is, you have to laugh at it because it is right. It's the truth. Every listing looks the same.
Yeah.
Like, you might be better off doing one just like with a cell phone. Like, here's my listing photos. Everybody, right? And just go through and do something weird. And maybe it would like go a little bit viral or do something different. I think we just have to look at ways to be different than everyone else.
Yeah. There was a guy a couple years ago. He put a listing up. It was around Christmas time. And what he did, he dressed up as Santa, and he was in every listing photo. So he was in the living room, he was in the bathroom, he was in the basement, and so if you went through the MLS and looked at the listing photos, Santa was in every picture. It was the greatest. It was great. It was different.
Yeah, and I've read, like I said, I'm weird, but I've read every one of Ryan Serhant's books.
Okay.
Right, and he's, like him, dislike him, whatever. I do think that he's pretty smart from a marketing standpoint,
Absolutely.
and right, and he just does outlandish things. It's just a little bit crazy. That's right. Like, go and have a camel at your open house. I
Yeah.
don't know what would happen, but if you have a camel at your open house, like something above it, the only thing I can guarantee is you won't not sell. Like, nobody's gonna. I'm never gonna buy that house because there was a camel in the driveway for 4 hours.
Right.
Like, so this we have to find ways to separate ourselves, and too many people try and copycat it.
Right.
You
Right.
can't. So
And it's hard, right? It's hard because there is so much out there. And I feel like some of the examples you gave today can streamline what we're trying to do, right? Because that's the key. Because we get so caught up in trying to do everything, we miss on so much because we're trying to do too much. And I think that's important for agents to realize too, because like this happens a lot. We have an event, we have a meeting, we have a lunch and learn, or we have a podcast you listen to, or whatever it is. And all of a sudden, like these ideas start coming at you, and now you want to start implementing all the ideas. Well, you can't implement all the ideas at one time, right? Like you can't eat a whale at one bite. You got to eat it. You got to cut it up and eat it a piece at a time. And it's the same thing with these ideas and these products and these tools and everything else. You have to get efficient at using the tools that you already have, right? Before you start adding other tools. Or if it's a tool you're not using at all and you've put it down, get rid of it and add something else there, right? But you have to start making some decisions on this stuff, because otherwise we get caught up in the minutia of too many moving parts and we don't know what to do at all.
yeah, we get a lot further. Most of us would be better served not by adding more stuff to our plate, but actually by eliminating things. So
Yep.
when I go in and look at a lot of mortgage brokers and I come in, we do a foundation builder. So as I start working with somebody at like a one-on-one level, the first thing we do over the first like 10 to 12 weeks is we just level set their business. And more of that is actually spent on doing things that we're eliminating. So we're getting rid of like 70% of the things that they're doing. And then we're going to focus on the 30. There's a thing called the Pareto principle, which is the 80-20 rule, that 80% of your revenue comes from 20% of your activities. And I think that that's right across the board. So just being aware of, okay, this is a high revenue activity. This is a very low revenue activity. Just do more of the high revenue things and get rid of the other ones. And we're always chasing, like we're always looking for that easy thing. And so we do bounce all over the place and we keep adding more. When if you just execute, like I talked before, just execute on senior living people, just people going into nursing homes. Inside of your community, there's probably enough of them, or just focus on divorce, and get really, really good at that, or become the expert in your town. I've got a thing on my website called the Local Authority Builder. And it's where you go to a local community, someplace inside of your community weekly. You do a quick little video, you promote them. And I've done those here locally where I got literally hundreds of views because I went to the car wash about a special that they were running throughout Christmas, or a place that hangs Christmas lights. Super easy. I didn't spend, cost me zero. And if you run that one play over and over, again, you sell one house, make 10 grand a month. Next year, you do that 10 times. That's 100 grand. Most people, adding 100 grand, it means something to a lot of people.
Yeah.
Not to everybody, but to some.
Yeah. And then we know in our statistics, right, that last year, 70% of agents didn't sell one home. So,
well, we also know in our statistics is like, 74% of people still believe they need 15% down or more to buy a house. Like if
great, right?
you think about that, and we're in the mix, and FHA, VA, I can, down payment assistance. Most of the world has no idea that they can even buy a house. And
Right.
we're worried about, I don't know what we're worried about, but we're definitely not worried about reaching out to most people.
Well, listen, man, this hour goes by quick.
Yeah, it does.
And I appreciate everything. We're going to have to get you back on. I know I'm going to have a ton of questions as soon as we get out of here. And I appreciate you. So if you're listening to us now, John Jurkovich, CEO1440.com. That's where you can find him. If you're listening to us later, again, same thing. John Jurkovich, CEO1440.com is where you can find all the things. And I appreciate you, my friend, for joining us this morning.
Hey, reach out. I'm also all over LinkedIn. I post stuff like I'm not hard to find, and it's Jurkovich. It was on there, Jurkovich.
I'll throw it back real quick. There you go. It's
Reach
not
out.
It's not Jerk. It's Jur.
Yeah, I mean, I've been called it all. So I look forward to hearing people. Love having conversations. You guys sell well and take advantage of that 1,440 minutes you have today. Not everybody gets them.
Love it. Thank you very much. Join us next Friday.